Hi students and families, this is Mrs. McCabe, your Shell School librarian. Welcome back to another media lesson. We are continuing to talk about digital citizenship. The first week we talked about media balance and how to balance our time on and off screen. Important conversation to have while we're doing distance learning. Some things we must do on the screen and some things we have a choice about and we can balance. Last week we talked about Meet the Digital Citizens, and you heard about head, heart, guts. And this week, we're going to talk about 3 rings of responsibility. Let's get started. Here are the 3 rings of responsibility. We're thinking about the online community, beginning with yourself here in the white circle in the center, the community in the green ring, and the third ring is the world. Self, community, world. These are our 3 rings of responsibility. We began our first week talking about digital citizens. Digital citizens are someone who uses technology responsibly to learn, create, and participate. Let's think about this question. How do good digital citizens take responsibility for themselves, their community, and their world? See the black arrows pointing to the diagram, self, community, and world? Last week, we took a pledge to be a digital citizen. How do we take responsibility for ourselves, for the community, and the world? This is connected to your 4 school rules, right? We have 4 school rules, 3 rings of responsibility. There's a lot in common there. Responsibility is a duty you have to yourself and to others. Here is an in-depth discussion of the 3 rings of responsibility. All you need to know is self, community, and world are like different levels. So let's start at the first level, yourself. These are responsibilities you have to yourself, such as keeping yourself safe and healthy. When you thought about media balance, balancing your time on and off screen, that is keeping yourself healthy. The next level is community. These are responsibilities you have to your community. It includes your family and friends, but also people you don't know as well. Perhaps someone you meet at the grocery store or interact with on an online game. This is where you respect others with your kind words and when you stop and think about your choices. The third level is the world. These are responsibilities to the larger world. This would include people you don't know, but whom our choices or actions might affect. Here is a video called Rings of Responsibility. You will hear self, community, and the world. And it's going to talk about it like a bottle of water. So I'll watch with you, and let's talk again at the end of this video.
Imagine if you threw an empty plastic bottle on your bedroom floor. Now, what if it's a bunch of bottles, and they spill into the street, and eventually end up in the ocean? Your action would have a ripple effect. It would affect you, your community, and even the world. And just like what we do in person, what we do online has a huge impact. What we say online, what we share online, and what we create online doesn't just affect our lives, but the lives of our families, friends, community, and people all around the world. That's why it's so important to think before we act. Use the rings of responsibility as your guide. Always be responsible to yourself, to your community, and to your world.
Thank you for watching that video with me. It discussed the rings of responsibility. We saw 3 rings: responsibilities you have to yourself, the community, and the world. It also mentioned that just like how we think about making good choices in real life, that the online community is also a real environment. What we say and do online, the choices we make online, are also important. So stopping and thinking about how to respect yourself, the responsibility you have to be safe and healthy, how you respect your community, the responsibility to treat others kindly, and the responsibility you have to your world, that ripple effect, where what you do grows and affects others. There is an optional worksheet in the extra activities. Let's take a look at it together and we'll go over the directions. Here is the optional activity. When you click on the link that says, "Can you identify the 3 rings of responsibility?" it brings up this document online. You can choose to download it or print it, or you could just scroll like I am on the website or the web link and read the directions and think about questions 1, 2, and 3. The directions say, first, choose 3 different colors and use them to color in the key. If you printed this at home or downloaded it, then you would be coloring in these squares. You might have 3 different color crayons. Let's say you had red, orange, and green. You'd color one orange, the other red, and the other green. Did I say orange, red, and green? What if you only had a pencil? Think like an artist. Could you make 3 different patterns? With a pencil, could you draw dots in the top square, stripes in the second square, and maybe color in the third? To get started on this quiz, you will make 3 different colors or patterns in these boxes because it's about 3 different levels of responsibility: yourself, your community, and your world. And these are different types of responsibility, so we need to color in the 3 squares differently. Question 1 asks, it doesn't have a question mark, but it is a question. The statement says, "I make careful choices about the media I use." The question there is, kids, do you think that making careful choices about the media I use is a responsibility to myself, the community, or the world? You answer that by coloring in the correct ring. Looking at the top of the document, we see a black and white copy of self, community, and world. The circle in the middle is self. So if I think that making careful choices about the media I use is a responsibility I have to myself, then I'm going to color in the middle circle. But how do I color it? It depends on what you put in the first box, which is yourself. There are 2 more questions or statements. The second statement says, "I don't share photos, videos, or information about other people unless I have their permission." We follow this responsibility at school. At the beginning of the year, when you and your family sign off on the opt out of photo permissions, that means that we do not share your photo. If your family has not turned that in, then we know that we have permission to share your photos, and you might find those photos starting to show up on the new Media Center Facebook page. Okay, there's a third statement. It says, "I don't copy or share someone else's work and say that I created it." This is important when you create digital media projects. Maybe you mix and match music and artwork and create your own video. At the end of the video, you would say whose music you used, whose artwork you used. When I use someone else's work, I need to give them credit. So that is a responsibility you have to yourself, others, or the world. See if you can identify which ring of responsibility question 1, 2, and 3 apply to. Okay. Thank you for studying the rings of responsibility with me today. I hope this helps you make good choices in the online community. There are links in the extra activities box to videos from the past 3 weeks, to media balance is important, We the Digital Citizens, and today's video. I hope that you have a chance to play your favorite video, but remember, it's optional. And there's also story time in the top corner. This week concludes our discussions about digital citizenship, but remember, it's important your whole life. So even though we'll move on to a new topic next week, being a digital citizen is important every time you get online. Bye for now.